Today I've found the cheat code to this Crucible Guard green, and it's just 3 easy paints. I think you could probably do it in 2 and maybe even 1, depending on your zenithal. But this is the secret Tyrant Navy, Plasmatic Bolt, and Thunderbird Blue. We're going to start off here with Thunderbird Blue over just a white zenithal highlight. I think if you did a little bit more contrast between the white and the black, you could maybe only need this. So here I did like a pretty standard one where there was not very much black left on the model, but I think if you left a lot of black, especially on these shoulders, you could maybe just get away with just this color, especially if you really just wanted to do tabletop and to get the models done. So I'll experiment with that later. But I started here. This is our highest point, and we're working backwards because by airbrushing these speed paints, it's actually pretty hard to go over a darker cover or a darker color. So we're starting with our brightest point, and then we're going to build up shadows on top of it. So it is a little nerve-wracking because it's a little bit harder to do, but just go slow, ease into it. So this is that plasmatic bolt, just building up the shadows, coming up from the bottom, staying very far away from the top of the model here. Yeah, Plasmatic Bolt, that's how it is. I'm making sure I'm getting up in the shadows, getting up underneath this breastplate here. I'm working it up the side of this central panel, and you can see I'm just going very slow, very carefully. This footage is 2x speed right now, and it's still that slow. I'm just being very intentional with where I'm putting these highlights, and you can see me building it up. There still wasn't as much contrast as I really wanted. I think if maybe you were going for like a subtle effect, you could probably stop here. But I really wanted to kind of create that textbook box art transition from the black to the bright green. So I'm just working in the shadows here. And this is when I realized, like, I got to go crazy. I got to grab that Tyrant Navy. So this is super, super nerve-wracking because if you mess this up, you're gonna like mess up the whole paint job. So again, I'm just easing this transition in, going very slow, I'm like barely touching that button and working this in, and it's still like the contrast here is just so high that it's blasting out even with barely any paint on it. And this will dry smoother than it seems. These, when you airbrush these speed paints, which I love doing, they're very transparent. So I just treat it like a very transparent ink. And go slow. I keep saying that, go slow, be careful. You're saving a ton of time by doing it this way. So just don't mess up, go slow, just work in the transitions, and you get this really cool box art effect for actually very little effort. I'm going to work on figuring out a way to do this without an airbrush. And on the other models in the army, I'm not going to use an airbrush on them. I'm just going to airbrush the jacks. So I'll still, I'll show you how to do this effect without an airbrush on the other models. But it was too easy, too time saving to not use the airbrush here. And I just really love how this effect, and because we're spraying from the bottom up, we still get like that almost edge highlight effect on the model, which is always cool. Ooh, we're starting to speckle. That's not good. All right, it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't show you how to fix the mistake. So I started speckling. I'd been airbrushing for a while at this point, and the airbrush was clogging. So the black speckled on top of where we didn't want it to speckle. So just to do this, I've just gone back to our initial highlight color. I put a very small amount of white ink in it, and I'm just blasting it on top, right? It's gonna look a little bit different than the other ones, but it's gonna smooth out the transition and just cover up our speckling. So thanks for watching. Tomorrow I'm gonna start cutting in details and hopefully maybe finish these jacks up, but at least make a ton of progress on them. So hopefully this cheat code works for you. Thanks for watching.